Yo, Carrot Tap podcast for myself, Daps. Guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that good stuff. Oh, guys, man. I said way back in October, November, that the title race was done, man. And I didn't say it was done because Liverpool were just going to be great and amazing. No, I said it was done because, and I'm going straight into it. I said it was done because, to be honest, I couldn't see a world where Arsenal wouldn't drop more points. And I know, that's a long time ago and, they've had time to get results together. And to be honest, in the league, the results haven't been that bad. I think the Carabao Cup, no, it's not that it ain't been that bad. It's not as bad as people would make it out to be. I think the Carabao Cup losses and the FA Cup loss kind of skewed those results a bit. But to be honest, let me get my Vaseline. My lips are a bit dry right now. Sorry guys, I just feel like my lips are just overly dry. And it's not you lot in the comments going to be like, oh, your lips are so dry. So, yeah, to be honest, it's done, And I'm gonna speak about a couple of things today. I'm gonna speak about this whole Arteta out thing. And I'm going to say some real stuff there. And I'm also going to speak about Odegaard, how people have turned on him. I'm going to talk about Liverpool and, where they've done well this season and everything. And look, let me just get into it. So, first of all, obviously, Arsenal have lost the game against West Ham. And it was a horrible loss. Didn't ever really look like scoring. West Ham didn't ever really look like, outside of their chance that they had, they didn't ever really look like scoring. And they controlled the game for the main part. And I'm not going to get into the breakdown of the game because I felt like it was very lackluster. I felt like Arsenal have just lost that fluidity. They've become so robotic. Everyone's not, like, nobody's allowed to use their creative freedom, or no one's allowed to have creative freedom. Everyone's just system, and I hate that football has become that. And I think Arteta has, and this ain't me saying Arteta out or anything, but he's ruined what was a good thing. He got the team to a place where they were playing free, expansive football. Players were allowed to show creativity. They were allowed to express themselves, and now it's got to the point where everything is about a system. Everything is about do's and don'ts. Everything is so regimented that the creative and the expression has gone. Outside of Nwaneri, there's no one in that team that plays with any sort of freedom. The one player who's given license to have freedom in that team is Odegaard. And everyone knows I'm a massive fan of Odegaard, but you also have to be able to be objective and say that he hasn't been good enough. He hasn't been good enough since he come back from this injury. And there's been moments where he's done good things, but it's not been enough. Against West Ham again, I think that it was well below par and just basically in line with what's been going on. And I see a lot of people have turned their backs on him and they want him gone, which I think is a bit dramatic, but especially because we know what he can actually do. We can talk about how there's no movement in front of him. People around him aren't doing what they need to do. But when it comes to the basics of his actual job, there's not enough of that. And I think it's more annoying when he's there geeing up the crowd and everything, but you're not actually doing the right things on the pitch. I think the whole losing the ball, like 5-yard passes, he's not even doing. Do you know what I mean? And he's not taking up those spaces where he used to. He's hiding a bit. And I think you can call out those things without it being a thing where you're not good enough, you need to go. But he does need to sort it out because you can't have this going on for way too long. And whilst there's still things to play for, he's got a lot to make up for. He's got a lot of, football to actually show that, that he can actually still do it. And, not that he still do it, because I still think he can do it, but he hasn't been good enough. And people are right. People are right to call him out. People are right to question him. I don't think it's at the point now where you have to sell him and whatnot. I think football and Arsenal fans in particular always need a scapegoat. And the scapegoat right now is Odegaard. But the difference is he's actually, when you look at the people who have the responsibility in the team, he's actually the one that needs to be called out. But I think it's okay that, you call him out. But like I said, you don't have to. It's not a thing where, you need to leave the club. In terms of Arteta, right? What should I say about Arteta? I'm not there with the whole Arteta out thing. I think my stance still remains the same. At the end of the season, you need to see where you're at. And if it hasn't been good enough, then there's a decision to make. This whole going through the season and then sacking him no good is gonna come from it. So if he does go at the end of the season, it will be because over the course of the couple years he's been he's been manager of Arsenal, he's now been put in a position where you need to be challenging. And at the beginning of the year, sorry, I can't get my words out today. At the beginning of the year, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, you've had a couple years coming second when no one really expected you to get there. But now the squad's been invested in, you've got the players you want in, now it's time to deliver. And like I said, at the end of the season, I was always going to look at what he's produced and judge him then. And that hasn't changed for me. But the thing that is really criminal for me isn't even the loss against West Ham. I can take that even as bad as it was. I think leaving us in a position where we were already short in attack, going through January and still leaving us short in attack, I think I don't think people realise just how big that is. Yes, I know we needed a striker, but I feel like people are looking at it like, oh, we need a striker, we didn't get a striker, it's bad. But no. It's actually criminal when it's a position you already needed. Especially when you go back and you look at the areas he strengthened during the summer as well. Areas that we could have maybe gone without, and he's gone and strengthened that. Playing Marino up top, I knew this would happen. He comes on against Leicester, does what he does, against Leicester, by the way, and now we suddenly think we can start him. It doesn't work. He's a centre midfielder. All throughout the game against West Ham, he was fighting to not drop back into centre midfield. And then on top of that, we don't have anyone running beyond him. It was just never going to work. I'd much rather you put Sterling on, and someone questioned why you put Sterling on, but at least have someone that's got attacking instincts. Mourinho doesn't have that. He wants to get on the ball in centre midfield and do whatever he needs to do. So, yeah, we are absolutely screwed. And the title race is done. Like, let's not do the whole... I mean, you hope Liverpool lose as many games as possible till the end of the season, but it's done. It's been done for a while. Arsenal were always going to drop points. Arsenal were never going to match what they did last year and the year before because of the football that they're currently playing. And because the squad's actually weaker. Is it weaker? No, the squad's not weaker. Squad's not weaker. I think, is the squad weaker? It might be. But anyway, yeah. So, and on top of that, Liverpool are just doing what Liverpool are doing. And what I do want to say, yeah, Mo Salah right now, yeah, I don't agree with the Thierry Henry comparisons, the greatest ever Premier League player comparisons. I don't agree with any of that. But what you have to do is give him his props. The season that this guy is having is unreal. Everything he touches turns to gold. A shot on goal, boom, goal. A pass to his player, boom, goal. That's another assist. And his goal contributions this year we're looking at what could potentially be one of the all-time greatest individual seasons that we've seen in the Premier League. Does that mean he's the best Premier League player ever? No. But you have to just big up what he's doing. There's no if, buts, or maybes about it. He is a world-class player. He's 100% world-class. I don't even want to debate that. He's world-class. He is the difference right now. And, Liverpool beat Man City 2-0. He's the difference. Everything about him, like Gary Neville touched on something that he's still adding to his game. And he is, that whole thing when they lob the ball up to him and he kills it and you can't get the ball off him because he's so strong. He hasn't always had that in his game. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the little footwork, it used to be a bit scruffy, still a bit scruffy to be fair, but it's like, he knows what he's doing with the scruffiness, and he's just clinical, and Liverpool are just clinical. And, you can't see, there's absolutely no way that they're going to, mess it up from here. I'm just waiting for the season to absolutely finish now because the season's done. The season's done. And I would talk more on Arne Slot and what he's done well later on in the season, or towards the back end of the season, or towards the beginning of the new season. But in fact, what I will say, I think I might have said this before, with Arne Slot, he's lucky that he inherited, and this ain't me downplaying what he's doing, by the way, because I don't want people to hear this and think I'm downplaying what Arne Slot's doing or what Liverpool are doing. Absolutely not. But he is lucky that he's inherited world-class players playing at their peak right now, and a title challenging team already. You know, it's almost like when Arsene Wenger inherited that back four and he had something to build on. I think the real test is going to be when he has to rebuild that team, when the Salah and Van Dijks go. That's when the real test is going to be. But until then, listen, you can only work with what you're given, and he's working well with what he's given. Because at the end of the day, Klopp had these same players. They didn't win like they did last season. I mean, like they're doing this season. So he's doing something right. And yeah, that's that. What else? Nottingham Forest got battered. Yeah, didn't see that. In fact, they got battered, but they brought it back to 4-3. Do you know what I'm saying? Isak is 100% best striker in the league. I'm sorry. Alexander Isak, he can do everything, literally. And he's not one of those, I know people might say Haaland, but the thing about Haaland goes moments where he's just not doing enough. He's not doing anything in the game. And then boom, he pops up with a goal. That's fine. Great goal scorer. But Isak is a threat all throughout the game. That game against Arsenal, where he gave Saliba and Gabriel, both of them, a crazy time. I've not seen Saliba especially like messed like that in however long. You know, he's always running in behind. He can come short. He can do everything. That right there is the best striker in the league. And I know Arsenal always like, oh, you should go and buy him, but I can't see Arsenal getting him. I can't see Arsenal paying the money for him. Newcastle are going to want top dollar, especially when you see how much other players have gone for. It's not going to happen. So outside of that, I don't know what other strikers there are to get. Right. Now onto the main thing I want to talk about. And I'm glad that people are talking about it now. But, you know, Michael Richards and Daniel Sturridge pulled up Jamie Carragher on the whole AFCON thing. And I'm not even going to talk about his response to it, because that's just what... In fact, no, let me talk about his response to it, because it's a bigger thing there. Jamie Carragher's response to being pulled up about the AFCON and, you know, how the AFCON is disrespected and it is a major tournament. It's indicative and shows exactly where people are at with the AFCON in terms of how it's viewed. Copa America, the Euros, they're all viewed as major tournaments, but they look at the AFCON and they almost kind of downplay it. It's almost like, even when the players go away for it, it's almost like they turn their nose up at it. And there's this attitude that it's not a big thing. Even when you look at the coverage, BBC, ITV, whoever, when you look at the coverage it gets, there's no build up to it. When they do show the matches, it's like, boom, straight into kickoff. There's no pre-match, there's no post-match. They don't look at it like that. And then when you look at last year's AFCON and you look at how it was, you know, you had the Euros as well. It was the best tournament last year. It was one of the highlights of the year in terms of football, if not the highlight of the year. So people definitely disrespect the AFCON. And if we're talking about Mo Salah and Ballon d'Or, like, AFCON matters. Do you get what I'm saying? And, well, not in terms of Ballon d'Or, but, you know, we can't always just downplay the Ballon d'Or. We can't always just downplay AFCON. And more respect needs to be put on AFCON. So, yeah, I just think that when we talk about AFCON, it is disrespected by players, by pundits. It is disrespected by even broadcasters. Like I said, BBC, they don't ever go out there with a whole preview team. It's literally just show up, watch the match, and then cut as soon as the match is done. You know, they don't... It's almost like we have to talk about it. So... yeah, people need to do better. People need to understand that it is a major tournament. It is one of the best tournaments. And some of our greatest players have come from Africa. Do you get what I'm saying? But again, there's a wider thing going on there. You know, it's the same way if Drogba was European and not African, we'd view him very differently. Yaya Toure. It's just the whole attitude towards African football in general. And, you know, people want to talk about it now, but the same people, some of these pundits that are talking about it, or some of the people I've seen reacting to it, they're also part of the problem. I'm not even going to like name names, but I'm glad it's being spoken about. But again, some of these people speaking about it, you know, trying to be on the right side of things right now, they're part of the problem, because they're only speaking about it and backing it now because it's a thing. Do you get what I'm saying? But, you know, that's a conversation for another day. Guys, let me know what you think. This is just a quick video, and we will be back tomorrow. We're out.